dwellers, and welcome to the basement and another edition of Talking Anime. We are continuing our journey through the series Blue Seed. We're up to episode 19, titled Heat Haze Start on a Journey. Love, I Won't Be Far From You. The original air date, February 8th, 1995. The English air date was January 9th in the year 2000. Now, after a trio of episodes focusing on Sakura, Ryoko, and Mr. Kunikita, the main story of Blue Seed is brought back to the forefront as Murakumo and Katie put an energy dome around a town in order to see if a ritual they need to perform as it relates to Lord Susanoo, where if I understood things right, they're taking the people of the town, turning the people in the town into Matama, that are being grown as part of their plan to have the origami take over the earth. The detail is I'm a little bit fuzzy on because it's the only explanation as to what happened to the townspeople. Because when it seems like the energy is being absorbed to power the ritual and grow Matama, and so maybe I misunderstood, but it wasn't the main focus of the episode. It was more of like building up to something bigger that's going to be eventually happening in the series climax. Because what this all resulted in was a huge, weird ass freaking tree appearing in the middle of this town. They also figured that they'll be done with Kusanagi at this point because of phantoms he has to face in this episode, that and they assume that he will not be able to overcome them because it's his heart desires, and we'll talk more about that in just a bit here. Switching gears to another topic in this episode, the actual main focus of this episode is on Kusanagi himself as well as Momiji, both of who are able to enter this dome covered town thanks to their respective Matama. Uh, uh, Kusanagi does so in search of Katie. Momiji does so to search for Kusanagi. Um, this ends up resulting in Momiji telling Kusanagi right to his face, point blank, that yes, she knows she's dumb. She really isn't. That she can't possibly help him. There have been numerous times where she has proven more than capable of helping Kusanagi and has saved the day herself on several occasions. And that she does love him and worries about him constantly because Kusanagi is a bit, when he gets ahead of steam, he goes headlong into things. And so she has concerns about him. She cares about him deeply, and this seems to have resonated to Kusanagi because he seems a bit shaken a bit. And when she's out having this outlet of emotion, Kusanagi embraces Momiji with a hug and vows that when everything is over, he'll come back to her. Which, of course, could mean a couple of different things here, because the other big thing in this episode is that there's this origami cat monster that is, I guess, the watchdog of this dome covered city, and it has the ability to create a phantom dimension to play with the mind and expose the heart's desires. So we see what Kusanagi wants, as he is confronted with an illusion of Katie, who, what his heart says is like, wants to go back to the way things were, where he was always there to protect her, and that they were never apart. But the truth is, Kusanagi really wants to protect the Kushinada. It's his purpose. That's what he was created for. And thus he rejects this illusion that seems like everything that he would possibly want because he's protecting a Kushinada, that being Momiji. At least that's my view on it. Others may have a different point and take on this episode, particularly if you've seen this episode of Blue Sea before. Uh, but in my opinion, this is good storytelling. For as much as Kusanagi would want Katie to come back, and we know he wants her to come back, between Momiji telling him how she feels and what is in his own heart, he knows that the possibility of Katie returning and everything going back to the way they were in some respect is not too good. Considering her association with Murakumo and Lord Susanoo, it's definitely not good. There is also a sequence in this episode where he has to battle a phantom of himself, one who wants to kill Katie in order to be freed of his responsibility as a guardian of the Kusanagi, which made for an interesting exchange of dialogue over what is in Kusanagi's heart, or which side of him is the real one, the one that just rather have slashed Katie's throat or Momiji's throat, as we saw way back in episode 2, or the one that we saw here, that he vows to come back to Momiji when everything is resolved. So there, again, interesting questions and perspectives, things that handled in this particular episode. Now, as far as the origami cat monster, demon, what have you, as you just saw in the rather perfectly timed random screenshot, it's impressive. It has all feline features, but the real effect of it, and I'm not sure if I had a screenshot of it, was when it's in its multiple form, where I'm guessing it presents an illusion that there's more than one cat in a room, and we see a bunch of these felines on the floor and a bunch hanging from the ceiling at certain points. So kind of gives like that freaky vibe. It's like you never want to be around that many hungry looking cats. Even if you love pussy. Okay, yeah, I apologize for that. There's no perfect setup. But it definitely led to some great visuals, particularly when it found Momiji and Kusanagi, and with the description I just laid out there. But really, other than that, other than the phantom ability that it has to mess with Kusanagi's head, it really doesn't have many powers. Matter of fact, Kusanagi basically kills it with one hit. Granted, a hit that's well placed, but still, it's definitely, for as big and bad looking as it is in terms of a beast, the cat origami creature really isn't going to go. And there's the screenshot I was talking about there, and that's just the cats hanging from the ceiling. So again, perfect timing. Um, but other than that, the cat demon doesn't show any other special abilities. So altogether, this episode, in my opinion, gets the ball rolling, I think, on the final home stretch of episodes of Blue Seed. There are 26 episodes in the season, in the series. We just finished, obviously, talking about episode 19, which means on Friday, we'll be back to go over episode 20, which is the final episode on this particular disc in the ADV Blue Sea box set that I happen to own. The episode is titled I'm Home, Izumo, the Prologue of Hope. So, and from what I could tell by the preview, um, Momiji is going back home to Izumo. So that should be rather interesting. I'm looking forward to watching it. Between now and then, my friends, and you are my friends as you do know, the next big segment, obviously, will be Comics from the Basement. This week we'll be talking about Doctor Who, Supremacy of the Cybermen, issue number 3 of 5. And yes, I'm not sure why they posed the 10th Doctor as if he was Spider-Man. Go figure. Yeah, yeah, no, really, take a look at that. But I'll talk about this comic and more much early Thursday, very early. I'll probably have that video up a little after midnight if all goes right. So, also we'll be going over the next episode of a series of unfortunate events, episode number 5. That's scheduled for tomorrow. In addition to talking anime on Friday, we'll also be doing Tales from the TARDIS. The next episode of Doctor Who is The Crusade Part 3. And of course, on Saturday, we'll be returning to the Ghostbusters Containment Unit with a look at the real Ghostbusters episode, Look Homeward, Ray. So, all sorts of good things here in the basement. So, once again, my friends, and you are my friends, be kind, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.